Pope Leo XIV, after the last pope in the prophecy, will be the first pope for the second coming. St. Malachy's visions of 112 popes in the future. Almost 900 years ago, St. Malachy, the Archbishop of Armagh, Ireland, saw the visions of the future popes while he was on a pilgrimage to Rome in 1139. He wrote down the prophetic descriptions of each of these 112 popes, and presented the complete manuscript to Pope Innocent II. But at that time, no one understood the prophetic meaning of these poetic descriptions. The manuscript was then placed into the Vatican secret archives and was forgotten until 1590. In 1590, a Benedictine monk named Arnold de Wyon found the manuscript of St. Malachy's prophecy, and was fascinated by its prophecies of future popes. After thoroughly studying the prophecies about the previous popes from 1143 to 1590, he found Malachy's prophecy accurately prophesied the outstanding trait for each of these previous popes. He then published St. Malachy's prophecy of the 112 popes starting from Pope Celestine II in 1143 all the way to the popes in the present day, including Pope John Paul II, Pope Benedict XVI, and Pope Francis. Here are the mottos of prophecy about some popes in the last 900 years. The motto of the first pope, an inhabitant of Tifernum. Pope Celestine II, 1143 to 1144. Pope Celestine II was born in Città di Castello, formerly called Tifernum Tiberinum, on the banks of the Tiber. Therefore, he was an inhabitant of Tifernum. Pope Celestine II was elected as pope on September 26, 1143, after Pope Innocent II passed away, but his papacy only lasted 5 months when he died on March 8, 1144. The motto of the second pope. Of the Caxianemisi family. Enemy expelled. Pope Lucius II, 1144 to 1145. Pope Lucius II had the name of Gerard Caxianemisi dall'Orso, before he was elected as the pope on March 9, 1144. This motto refers to his family name. However, it also has a prophetic meaning. In Italian, cacciare means to drive out, and nemesi means enemies. In September 1144, the Roman Senate rebelled against the Pope, driving out the papal prefects and establishing the Commune of Rome. In February 1145, Pope Lucius II led a small army back to fight against the Senate, but he was injured in the battle and died. The motto of the 104th Pope. Religion destroyed/depopulated. Pope Benedict XV, 1914 to 1922. Pope Benedict XV was elected as the Pope in September 1914, and his pontificate was largely overshadowed by World War I, 1914 to 1918, which caused about 10 million military dead and over 20 million wounded, plus some 10 million civilian dead from causes including genocide. The Spanish flu pandemic, 1918 to 1920, also caused about 25 million deaths and over 500 million infected. In October 1917, Lenin led the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia to start the communist revolutions across the world. The Communist Revolution was the largest anti-God rebellion and religious persecution in human history. The motto of the 110th Pope, the labor, eclipse, of the sun. Pope John Paul II, 1978 to 2005. Pope John Paul II was born on May 18, 1920, on the day of a solar eclipse, and his funeral also took place on the day of a solar eclipse on April 8, 2005. Pope John Paul II worked like the sun circling the earth in his evangelical travels around the world, and he brought the light of Christ, the Son of Righteousness, to the former communist countries in Eastern Europe, which eventually led to the collapse of the communist regimes in Eastern Europe and in the former Soviet Union, to end the Cold War and the communism in Europe. The motto of the 111th Pope, the glory of the olive. Pope Benedict XVI, 2005 to 2013. Pope Benedict XVI took his name from Saint Benedict, whose order was known as the Olivetans. Before being elected as the Pope in 2005, Joseph Aloysius Ratzinger had been the Dean of the College of Cardinals for the Doctrine of the Faith since 1981. He was described as the main intellectual force in the Church to bring the Church back to the traditional Catholic doctrines and the teaching of Jesus Christ. In the Bible, Jesus preached his famous sermon about the end time on the Mount of Olives. The glory of the olive also refers to the sermon of Jesus Christ. The motto of the 112th Pope, Petrus Romanus, Peter the Roman. Pope Francis, 2013 to 2025. Pope Francis, Jorge Mario Bergoglio, was born on December 17, 1936, in Flores, a neighborhood of Buenos Aires in Argentina. Pope Francis' father was an accountant immigrated from Italy in 1929, to escape the fascist rule of Benito Mussolini. His mother was born in Buenos Aires to a family of northern Italian origin. Although Pope Francis was the first pope from Argentina, he does have the Roman bloodline from his parents with Italian origin. On March 13, 2013, Argentina Archbishop and Cardinal Jorge Mario Bergoglio was elected as the Pope of the Catholic Church. He chose Francis as his papal name in honor of Saint Francis of Assisi. Saint Francis of Assisi, 1181–1226, was an Italian Catholic friar, the founder of the Franciscan order, and one of the most venerated figures in Christianity. His birth name was Giovanni di Pietro di Bernardone, and Pietro means Peter. In 1939, Pope Pius XII named Saint Francis of Assisi the joint patron saint of Italy, which literally made Saint Francis, Peter the Roman. After being elected as the Pope, Pope Francis chose Pietro Parolin as the Vatican Secretary of State, in charge of the political and diplomatic functions of the Holy See and Vatican City. Cardinal Pietro Parolin is an Italian native, and his first name, Pietro, means Peter. So, Cardinal Pietro Parolin is also literally Peter the Roman. With the spiritual inheritance from Saint Francis of Assisi, and the Cardinal Secretary of State Pietro Parolin as his right-hand man, both literal, Peter the Roman, Pope Francis did spiritually fulfill the prophecy of Peter the Roman as the last pope of Saint Malachy's prophecy. The last pope before the end. In the description of this last pope in the prophecy, Saint Malachy wrote, "In the final persecution of the Holy Roman Church, there will sit Peter the Roman, who will pasture his sheep in many tribulations, and when these things are finished, the city of 7 hills, Rome, will be destroyed, and the dreadful judge will judge his people." The end. This matched the prophecy of the apocalypse before the second coming in the Bible. From Peter the Apostle to Peter the Roman. In the Bible, Jesus told Peter the Apostle, "And I tell you that you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not overcome it. I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven, whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven." Matthew 16 verses 18 to 19. Jesus gave Peter the authority to establish the first church of Christ on earth, and Peter became the first pope of the Holy Roman Church. Hence, Peter the Apostle was actually the first, Peter the Roman. In St. Malachy's prophecy of 112 popes, the last pope of the Catholic Church would have the same title of Peter the Roman as the first pope of the Catholic Church, Peter the Apostle. This completed the lineage of the papal authority given by Jesus Christ from the first, Peter the Roman, to the last, Peter the Roman. This prophecy also stated that when the last pope finished his mission on earth, the dreadful judge would come to judge the world at the end. This prophesied that the second coming would occur after Pope Francis finished his job as the last pope. From the last pope of the first coming, to the first pope of the second coming. Now, as Pope Francis, the last pope of the first coming in St. Malachy's prophecy, passed away, Pope Leo XIV will be the first pope of the second coming for the new millennium. The 2,000-year lineage of the first stage of the papal authority, starting from Peter the Apostle during Christ's first coming, has been completed with Pope Francis as its last pope. Pope Leo XIV will start the second stage of the papal authority from the second coming of Christ, to reign with Christ 1,000 years, for the new millennium as prophesied in Revelation 20 verses 1 to 6. The prophecy of the second coming in the Bible. The second child in the Bible for the second coming. Many people anticipated the second coming of Christ to be a supernatural phenomenon of Christ coming down from the sky with thousands of angels following him. However, that scene only occurred in the spiritual realm, not in our physical world. The real, second coming, in our physical world started with the birth of the second child in the Bible, who would be born under the reign of the red dragon as prophesied in chapter 12 of the book of Revelation 12 verse 5. After this second child in the Bible grew up, he would come to the land of great eagle, Revelation 12 verse 14, and be spiritually awakened in the state of Zion, as that lamb standing on Mount Zion, prophesied in the book of Revelation 14 verse 1. There would be 144,000 redeemed saints who would follow the Lamb, the Christ Messiah of the second coming, and learn that new song of the second coming for the new millennium. Revelation 14 verses 1 to 5. The new revelation of the eternal gospel for the new millennium. As the three angels proclaimed in the book of Revelation, there will be a new revelation of God on the eternal gospel for every nation, tribe, language and people. Revelation 14 verse 6. This new revelation of the eternal gospel for all nations will reveal the big picture of the Word of God, behind all the past revelation of God in the major religions in the world, from the east to the west, to eliminate the religious conflicts in the world, and bring the full blessing of God for the new millennium of peace and wisdom. Just as Jesus Christ brought the New Testament of God in his first coming, the Messiah of the second coming will also bring forth the new Millennium Testament for the new millennium. This new revelation of the eternal gospel will be the new Millennium Testament for the new millennium. It will be the third testament of the Holy Bible trilogy, following the Old Testament and the New Testament of the Bible. Those who learn and accept the new Millennium Testament will reign with Christ 1,000 years, as prophesied in the book of Revelation 20 verses 1 to 6. The new revelation for the new millennium. The divine authority for the Catholic Church. 1,400 years ago, the Catholic Church had the greatest pope in its history, Pope Gregory the Great, 590 to 604 AD, who led the Church with strong faith, deep knowledge of the Scriptures, and great compassion for the people. He also served the Church with great humility as the servant of servants of God, and had done great works on missionary and church reform. Thus, he was considered as the founder of the medieval papacy. For his great works as the Pope, and his great love for the people with great humility, Christ gave him the iron scepter to rule over the nations, Revelation 2 verse 27, which gave the Roman Catholic Church 1,000-year divine authority over the Christian world, until it fell astray at the late medieval age. Then, God took back that divine authority through Martin Luther's Protestant Reformation in the 16th century. The Protestant Reformation, the religious wars and new Exodus. After the Catholic Church fell into corruption and scandals at the end of the medieval age, God sent Martin Luther to start the Protestant Reformation in 1517. It's a second stage of Christianity, and a spiritual upgrade from the first stage of Christianity in the past 1,500 years. Unfortunately, the Catholic Church rejected the Protestant Reformation and turned hostile toward the Protestants, which eventually led to the religious wars between Catholics and Protestants and large numbers of Christians' exodus from the Catholic Church. All these historical events around the Protestant Reformation were prophesied in the Book of Revelation almost 2,000 years ago. The current problems inside the Catholic Church. Currently, the Catholic Church is experiencing a steep decline in the traditional Christendom in Europe and North America. Many Catholics are leaving the faith, and many splendid Catholic churches and cathedrals have become empty, or turned into tourist attractions without the spiritual guidance and teaching of the gospel. It's a sad situation that needs to be changed. Now, it's time for the Catholic Church to learn the lesson from history, and learn the new revelation of the eternal gospel, to have a new reformation and new revival for the new millennium, especially in the old Christendom in Europe and North America. The new reformation and new revival for the Catholic Church. As the second child prophesied in the Bible, Revelation 12 verse 5 and 19:11, the peace Messiah for the second coming has come, with the new revelation of God on the eternal gospel, to help the Catholic Church and all Christian churches to revive for the new millennium of peace and wisdom. The first part of this eternal gospel is to unseal the 2,000-year mystery of the visions of prophecy in the Bible's book of Revelation, with the testimony of major historical events in the Christian history in the past 2,000 years. Unveiling the mystery of the book of Revelation. Revelation fulfilled. In the past 2,000 years, the book of Revelation has remained as the most mysterious book in the Bible. Most people thought those visions in the book of Revelation were about the disasters of apocalypse at the end time. Fortunately, all these past interpretations were incorrect. When the scroll of visions was first presented in heaven, no one in heaven or on earth or under the earth could open the scroll or even look inside it. Revelation 5 verse 3, only Christ the Lamb had the divine authority to open the seals on the scroll. In the same way, only the Messiah of the second coming has the divine authority to unseal the mystery of these visions in the book of Revelation. That's why no one knew the real meaning of these visions in the past 2,000 years. Now, as the peace Messiah for the second coming has come, the 2,000-year mystery of those prophetic visions in the book of Revelation has finally been unveiled. As the voice told John, "Come up here, and I will show you what must take place after this." Revelation 4 verse 1, this indicated that the visions on the scroll prophesied the major historical events after the first century, not the disasters at the end time, 2,000 years later. Just like those visions in the book of Daniel prophesied the historical events of the rising of the four kingdoms, the visions in the book of Revelation also prophesied the major historical events in the Christian world, in the past 2,000 years all the way to the new millennium. At the beginning of chapter 6 of the book of Revelation, there were visions of 4 riders on different colored horses, coming out after the first 4 seals on the scroll were opened. Most people thought they were the 4 horsemen of apocalypse, who would bring the disasters to the world at the end time. Fortunately, that's not the case. These 4 horsemen prophesied the major historical events in early Christian and Middle East history, which already occurred 1,000 years ago. Here, I will use the vision of the first rider on a white horse, to explain its prophetic meaning and historical fulfillment of this prophecy. The first vision on the scroll is, a rider on a white horse who held a bow and was given a crown, and he rode out as a conqueror bent on conquest. Revelation 6 verse 2. This first rider on a white horse was the Roman Emperor Constantine the Great, who liberated Christians from 300-year persecution, and established the first Christian kingdom on earth by converting the Roman Empire to Christianity. Ever since then, the kingdom of Christianity he established has rode out as a conqueror bent on conquest, and brought the gospel of Jesus Christ throughout the world. Constantine the Great acted like a secular Messiah to Christians, just like Cyrus the Great did to liberate Jews from the Babylonians. Isaiah 44-45, therefore, he was prophesied as the rider on a white horse, in this vision, same as the Messiah for the second coming, prophesied in the book of Revelation 19 verse 11. Here are some major historical events prophesied in the book of Revelation. The Roman Emperor Constantine the Great converting the Roman Empire to Christianity. The papal authority of the Catholic Church over the Christendom in the medieval age. The rising of Islam through preaching the faith by sword, and the expansion of the Islamic Empire through trade. The Crusade, the Black Death, and the Mongol invasions. The religious persecution of the Inquisition. The Protestant Reformation and religious wars in Europe. The new exodus to the New World, and the birth of the United States of America. The French Revolution, Napoleon Bonaparte, and the Napoleonic Wars against other European nations. The rising of Mormonism in the United States of America, and Baha'ism in Iran and in the Middle East. The American Civil War, and World War I and II. The Communist Revolution and the end of the Cold War. The birth and spiritual awakening of the second child prophesied in the Bible. The new revelation of the eternal gospel for all nations. The September 11th, the war in Iraq, the Armageddon in the Middle East, and the fall of Babylon. The anti-Christian persecution and the de-Christianization of the traditional Christendom in Europe and North America. The grand finale of the second coming for the new millennium, etc. For the first time in 2,000 years, the visions of prophecy in the book of Revelation were finally decoded by the second child prophesied in the Bible's book of Revelation 12 verse 5 and 19:11. No one knows the prophecies in the book of Revelation better than the one who was prophesied in the book of Revelation. Now the second child in the Bible, the peace Messiah of the second coming, has published the book, Revelation Fulfilled, to unseal the 2,000-year mystery of the book of Revelation, with the testimony of major historical events in the Christian history. This book, Revelation Fulfilled, is like the book of Chronicle for the New Testament. And the historical fulfillment of the visions in the book of Revelation will be the key for people to learn the lesson from history, and revive their faith in God and in Jesus Christ. The second coming of peace Messiah for the new millennium of peace and wisdom. The real second coming for the real world. Although the Messiah of the second coming was prophesied as the rider on the white horse in the book of Revelation 19 verse 11, it's just a metaphor as the other visions in the book of Revelation. At this modern age, the real Messiah for the second coming would not come out as a rider on the white horse in the real world, but rather as a spiritual master at your door, with the new revelation of the eternal gospel for the new millennium, as prophesied in the book of Revelation. Here I am. I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in and eat with him, and he with me. Revelation 3 verse 20. The one who is victorious I will make a pillar in the temple of my God. Never again will he leave it. I will write on him the name of my God, and the name of the city of my God, the new Jerusalem, which is coming down out of heaven from my God, and I will also write on him my new name. Revelation 3 verse 12. Here are the questions for all Catholics and Christians who are waiting for the second coming. 1. If the Messiah of the second coming knocks on your door, will you open the door to let him in? 2. If the Messiah of the second coming comes with a new name other than Jesus, will you accept him? 3. If the Messiah of the second coming comes with the new revelation of the eternal gospel as prophesied in the book of Revelation, are you willing to learn from him? For more information about St. Malachy's prophecy about 112 Catholic popes, the visions of prophecy in the Bible's book of Revelation, and the new revelation of the eternal gospel by the peace Messiah for the new millennium of peace and wisdom, please visit www.peacemessiah.org. Thank you, and God bless. The calling of the Lamb for the 144,000 new saints. As prophesied in chapter 14 of the book of Revelation, there would be 144,000 redeemed new saints who would follow the Lamb and learn the new song for the new millennium. If you are the new saints from the spiritual realm, or want to join the team to become the redeemed new saints, please contact us or sign up at www.peacemessiah.org/144000.htm.